All right, welcome again, everyone. Tonight we're going to talk about subtraction of fractions with like and with unlike denominators. So for starters, let's look at an example here where we have Maya, who walked 7/8 of a mile to school, and Cole walked a half a mile to school. And we want to figure out how much further Maya walked than Cole did. So we're going to start by drawing a picture just so we can sort of see what this looks like, okay? So if this is representing a total distance of 1 mile, and I'm going to turn this sideways so I can write 1 mile. Let's go ahead and split this up into eighths so we can see what exactly 7/8 will look like. Alright, so if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7/8, she walked 7/8 of a mile. It's going to come all the way up to here. So this is representing Maya's walk. Now, on the other hand, 1 mile being the same distance should look about the same. And this is Cole's walk. He walked half of a mile. So this here is Cole's distance. And what we want to figure out is what is the difference between how far Maya walked and how far Cole walked. In other words, what is this distance right in here? So what this implies is that we have a subtraction problem to deal with. 7/8 minus 1/2 in order to figure out what this black little section here is. Now again, notice that we've got two very different denominators, and we need to change one of these denominators to give us our common denominator. So the least common multiple, or the least common denominator in this scenario, is going to be 8. The least common multiple of 8 and 2 is 8, given that 2 times 4 is 8 and 8 times 1 is 8. So 7/8 can stay the same. What we need to fix, though, is this 1/2 that's right here. So 1/2 times some fraction is going to give us something over 8. And like we said in the last video, whatever this fraction is here has to be equal to 1, so the same numerator and denominator. Now 2 times some number gives us 8, and we said just a moment ago that that is going to be 4. Now 2 times 4 is 8, and 1 times 4 is 4. So we're going to change our 1/2 to say 4/8. And now we can easily subtract just like we did with addition. 7 minus 4 is 3, and then our denominator is still going to be 8. So we are left with 3/8 of a mile. If we want to put that back into the context of the problem, then we would say that Maya walks 3/8 of a mile further than Cole. Whoops. Okay, now in our next example, we have an elementary school that wants to put in a new playground. They decide to give the planning responsibility to students, and these students decide to set aside 1/4 of the area for a basketball court and 3/8 for a soccer field. So what fraction of the playground is left over for swings and play equipment? Well, here I think this one would be very helpful to draw a picture. So if this is our play area, right, and we know that we've got 1/4 of this area is set aside for the basketball court. Well, let's say this quarter here is our basketball court. Now we also said that 3/8 of the playground is for a soccer field. So now let's take that same area and split it into eighths and identify 3/8 to be our soccer field. Now we want to know what's left over for swings and play equipment. Well, we can see by looking at what's left blank here that we have 3/8 of the soccer field, or of the playground area left over. But let's do the actual math to see how this works out. So we've got 1/4 for basketball plus 3/8 plus some unknown number gives us the whole playground, okay? That whole playground is going to be represented by the number 1 because it's one whole. Now, in order to figure out what this question mark is, what this missing amount is, we need to add these two fractions together and then figure out that difference from 1. So, in order to do this, we're going to need to use our common denominator, which in this case is going to be 8. So we can rewrite 1/4 as 2/8. And if we add that to 3/8, we're going to get 5/8. So now we can rewrite our original equation as 5/8 plus question mark equals 1. And in order to solve this, let's think about it in these terms. 5/8 plus some fraction needs to be equal to 1, which can be written, since we want a denominator of 8, we'll rewrite 1 as 8/8 because we know that 8 divided by 8 will give us 1. So this is indeed the same number as 1. So 5 plus some number, again our denominators stay the same, 5 plus some number equals 8. That's going to have to be 3. And therefore we know that 3/8 is our missing, or leftover playing field. We could also take this equation here and rewrite it as 1 minus 5/8. Excuse me. All right. So this is 1 minus 5/8. Now again, this 1 changes to 8/8. If we subtract 5/8 from that, we're going to end up with 3/8 left over.